Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Ramble. So I actually never covered this in a Ramble, so I guess I will just right now. I got third age plate legs. Now, most of you probably saw this because I spammed it all over the internet, like on Twitter and on Reddit. And then I made a YouTube highlight video. So most of you have seen this, but if you haven't, I mean, this is just it's just wild. Like, I literally cannot believe, even now after like a week, I cannot believe this actually happened. Because, I mean, somebody actually looked back at one of the old Rambles, the Mutts one in particular, like the first time I had Mutts on, and I apparently in somewhere in there, because the guy commented, he's like, "Oh my god, like you literally said how much you would kill for third age plate legs, and now you have them. That's crazy." But so I didn't get like the timestamp or anything, but somewhere in there, and somewhere in probably a fair few of the Sebe cast and other previous Rambles, I had talked about how crazy it would be to get third age plate legs. And yeah, I mean, it's a reality now. So it's pretty wild having 3 of 4 of, like, I guess the classic third age melee set, which is pretty nuts. Obviously, like, I personally think the Dragon Full Helm actually works better than the Full Helm. But obviously, if I had the third age Full Helm, I'd rep it because it's just rarer. But yeah, this is definitely the look. It's pretty damn sexy, and I'm really, really, really happy about it. So I am. What's funny is, like, so I have 5 pieces of third age now, as you guys see, the robe and the fan braces. By the way, the robe top would be an insane piece to get. I think so. There's been a few times people have asked me, like, what would you want now? Like, what would be the next best piece of third age? And I would probably say the longsword. I think the longsword would actually be my absolute, like, peak third age item that I'd want right now. I think, and the reason it surpasses the helmet, even though the helmet would qualify me as like having the full classic third age set, which would be amazing, I'd still love that. That's probably my second pick. It's just the long sword is a rarer piece for one, and for two, it would just be cool to have like a sword and a shield that's third age. And a cloak would also be amazing, but again, a cloak's not really necessary with this kind of like setup. The Infernal Cape does well. But yeah, anyway, so we're still grinding. We're stacking back up. We were at 0 of all, and we're stacking quite nicely back up, just slow and steady. And we'll probably do another opening soon, because one of the best parts about RNG in this game is that it doesn't matter what you just got. I mean, you could have pulled third age the casket before, and your odds are still the same of pulling third age, which is just awesome. So, like, there is a huge chance. Okay, so I also said this, I think, on one of the Reddit posts. I have calculated my third age chance. It's about a 2.97, or sorry, I misphrased that. So I deserve 2.97 pieces of third age. So I almost exactly deserve 3 pieces of third age, and I have 5. So realistically, I could go 10,000 hard clues dry right now, like if it was just hards, for example, and I still couldn't actually complain. Like that's how silly my luck has been. So I can go really, really, really dry now, and I really can't complain. But you know, there's also that chance of just giga spooning continually and like getting another 3 pieces of third age super soon. Who knows? So we'll see what RNG has in store for me, but I am going to be continuing on this grind. So anyway, enough of that. I want to cover today the Pull 80 wilderness changes and more. I didn't feel like this was super relevant for me to cover in the first place, but there have been a few of you that have been asking for it. So I will share my thoughts. And yeah, so it'll be pretty brief. But for the most part, I think most of you already kind of know what happened. Basically, there was a buff to Venenatus, Callisto, and Vedion. So basically, their first change is to increase the minimum loot from 15% to 25% for the top 10 players in a given fight against the wilderness bosses. In short, this means that if you and 9 mates take on the bosses, you'll get a whopping 250% loot between the lot of you. Alternatively, if you're more risk averse than the rest of your party and dealing less damage while in your group, you'll still walk away with enough loot to make it worth your while. So I believe that this still means that only the top 10 players get loot. I was reading this with my chat, and it was a little bit kind of like confusing, but I'm almost certain nothing has changed from prior to this update, where only the top 10 people that dealt damage get a loot roll. I think now if you only did 1 damage, but you were still in the top 10, you're just going to get a little bit more loot than you would have originally, like 15%, or it went from 15 to 25%. So anyway, so my take on this is like, I actually wish every single person in the mass would get loot. Even if you just did 1 damage. As long as you did 1 damage, you would get a loot roll. I think that would actually be a lot better, personally. Obviously, it would scale, so if you did only 1, I mean, you would just get like 1 piece of loot for like whatever you rolled. I mean, you could still have a chance at getting something giga rare, but it would just be so rare. And I think the reason for that, I mean, one of it is selfish. Like, it's fun. I have done a few Callisto masses on stream, and what sucks is that a lot of people want to join in and have fun and just join in on the action, but we end up having like 25, 30 people in there, and 15 to 20 of us aren't getting any loot every single kill, only the top 10. So it just feels a little bit bad. That's just my personal take. I wish that everybody in there that had at least dealt 1 damage would get a loot roll. So anyway, yeah, we'll see if they ever do anything about that. They also improved the drop rate from pets in the multivariants from 1 in 2,000 to 1 in 1,500. So yeah, they increased that, which is not nice. I mean, I talked about this in one of my stream highlights, I think just the previous one, where, yeah, I mean, the whole wilderness has just been updated. So like making changes like this in kind of like the early months since it's the whole change and everything. Or how long has the wilderness changes been out? Actually, it's been like a year or something, or like over a year. I don't know how long it's been, but basically, yeah, I think it was like late 2022 or something. It's okay to make these changes. I think it's totally fine. Most people, I don't know, like the wilderness used to be a little bit more respectable. Nowadays, it's just kind of like, I mean, it's not a bad thing for it not to be respectable. I'm just stating the facts. Like back in the day, if you killed Vedion, you were a Giga Chad, like I said in the one of my stream highlights. And if you were to be grinding out these Wildy bosses the classic way without Wildy weapons, it was just seen as such a flex, and now it's not as much. But so I think this is cool. And I think it is important to incentivize the multivariants a little bit more. So my personal take. Yeah, so they made some other changes, and yeah, basically they just buffed like the loot and added some things. Scorpia, this is the interesting thing, because so here's a look at what the 10,000, what a simulated 10,000 Scorpia kills might look like. So you got a bunch. For those listening on Spotify, by the way, if you guys want to check out the Sebe Rambles on Spotify, there is a link down in the description where you can check it out. So if you guys are like at work or something, you guys can listen to it there. Basically, the loot has been nicely updated. A bunch of alks, bunch of dragon items like dragon sims, dragon 2Hs, rune stuff, blighted anglers. You get the wildy tabs, or the wildy crab tabs, which are nice. Just some more alks, some uncut gems, uncut rubies, and a bunch of herbs like snapdragons and looks like torstals and stuff. I think dwarf weeds and cadentines, I want to say. And then you got some onyx bolt tips, battle staves, runite ore, and some runes. So it looks pretty good. I mean, obviously this is assuming 10,000 kills, but yeah, it looks juicy. It kind of looks like Sarachnis table a little bit, just kind of. So, but this is something they said at the end. They said, but doesn't it seem like something's missing? Something a little more unique. We have just such a something in mind, and we'll be sharing it with you very soon. So they haven't shared it yet. I think they're going to come out with an additional unique from Scorpia, and that would be kind of interesting to see. I don't know what it would be. I really don't. Maybe potentially. Well, I really don't know. I think. Yeah, I fucking don't know, because I was almost in my head briefly gonna say maybe it's some sort of attachment to the odium or malediction ward, but just today they actually came out with the poll results of where those echo crystals are going to come from the Colosseum. And originally they wanted to add like some AoE effect, some like recoil effect to the Guardian boots, and then they changed their mind and said no, we're going to add it to like these lesser kind of wildy shields. And then they pulled it again, and it turned out that Guardian boots took it. So those shields actually don't have a use, but maybe this is going to give a further use to those shields. I have no idea, by the way. So if you guys have any idea, let me know down in the comments. Chaos Elemental, Yeah, nothing much happened apparently, but basically they kind of just buffed the loot just slightly. Now, here's the one that I was very excited about, Rogue's Chest. So Rogue's Chest did get an update, and it was all over Reddit about the loot. I think a friend made a video as well talking about the new loot from it and just some ways to like evade PKers potentially by staying 1 HP and other things like that. But the loot itself is pretty good. It seems pretty reasonable. It's just like the loot itself, like the actual stuff you're getting, is not super valuable, at least for my account. This is just me personally speaking. It doesn't seem that amazing. There's nothing really unique about it. But for like a main like GE value, it's great. I think people have said it's like 2 mil an hour. That might drop a little bit. We'll see, because I think some of it, like I think I read spider eggs are on the table, and those might drop just simply because they're being flooded into the game a little bit more quickly, but we'll see. But yeah, about 2 mil an hour and about apparently 200,000 thieving XP per hour. And I've heard it's even higher than that if you just camped there the whole hour instead of banking. So I actually think the thieving XP per hour is completely fine. This is just in line with other sort of thieving updates. It could have been nerfed maybe a little bit. I also think the loot could be nerfed a little bit. But one of the but I'm not like I remain pretty much indifferent to it. I don't actually care that much if they made no changes to it. I think what they did is totally fine, totally reasonable. The thing I really wanted though is they said toward the end that you now have a 1 in 99 chance to snag a hard clue if you haven't got one already. And that was already the case for about a decade or whenever these things came out. So I proposed on Twitter, and Mod Goblin actually responded and said he'd bring it up with the team. What if you were wearing a Ring of Wealth imbued, this chance actually doubled, so it went to like 1 in 49 for a chance at a hard clue. If they did that, I want to just explain the consequences of them doing something like that. First off, regardless of this content being in the wilderness or not, these chests could have came out like not in the wilderness, and it could have had a similar XP rate. So I'm thinking something similar to Dorgeshan chests. Dorgeshan chests honestly could receive a buff in a way. I actually wouldn't be against that at all. I actually like variety in thieving. I like that there's other things you can do. If Dorgeshan chests allowed you to not have to like hop worlds, for example, maybe balance the XP rates a little bit so that the world hopping is being accounted for, and then add some cool unique to those chests, like that's awesome. I love things like that. I love just going around the world having different diverse methods to train, and this is one of those that it just excites me. So basically, if they were to double the chance of hard clues by wearing a Ring of Wealth imbued, first of all, you'd be risking that ring, and you would lose a lot of them. And those scrolls are nothing to scoff at. They're like 5 LMS points, and 5 LMS points is like a win. Like that takes a while to get. So you have to keep that in mind. But you'd be able to get 6. You'd be able to get and complete, if you're like super efficient like I am with my clues, you'd be able to get and complete 6 hard clues an hour, which is right in line with jellies in the catacombs. And that's assuming you're barraging jellies and sweating and stacking them efficiently and everything like that. You get and complete 6 an hour. But with jellies, you also get totem pieces and ancient shards and just some other things. You're spending a lot of loot, you're getting a lot of mage XP, but on top of that, you're also, spending a lot of money, but you do make it back. But it pretty much puts it in line with that when it comes to hard clues, which would be so cool because now you actually have a method that's competing with the top clue methods, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. That's what I've been begging for literal years. If you guys have listened to my rambles and my casts, this is the kind of shit I've been begging for, is just add a bunch of diversity to clue metas, make it so there's 4 or 5 different methods that all are very, very similar in rate, because we are playing Clogscape at this point. There's so many people that are collection loggers, and a lot of people just want to camp clue scrolls, and it's fun when you have, there's always going to be the meta of like, okay, this is technically like the fastest way you get clue scrolls, but instead of the second best method being 50% slower or twice as slow, or no, it's like it would be cool to just have a handful of methods that are all in similar rate, and I think this is a great way to go about it. So this is what I would love to see. I also just want to say this, if this is just my own annoyance. But when Sepulcher originally was proposed to have clue scrolls, they had phenomenal rates that were really going to shake up the meta a little bit, and just, well, not even shake up the meta, but just be put in a perfect position to give clue scrolls at a very good rate that would compete with the meta, which was amazing. And then they decided to revert it and make it twice as rare, which was annoying. And I really wish Jagex would almost like look back at those clue rates and adjust them just so they're more in line with current stuff. Because yeah, that's the other thing. I want skilling to have competitive clue rates. I think that's just amazing. So anyway, I'm not going to talk much more about that. But yeah, so rogues chests are cool. I really hope that they get that update. That would make it so I would actually grind these things out. That would be so much fun. And I'd be getting skilling XP. How cool is that? Okay, you know what? People have been shitting on these dragons. I actually think they did a really good job with these because they still look like the classic OSRS dragon. They didn't go Toontowny. And honestly, one of my biggest gripes initially, I think there's a ramble that I made talking about when they were originally proposing these. They looked a lot more like Toontowny. And they had like orange feet and stuff. Not just the underglow, but they had like legitimate like orange feet. So this change, it looks great. I'm completely for this. This is fine. Obviously, I still have a little bit of like that nostalgia attachment to what they originally looked like, but I really do not care what these. I mean, these look fine. They look great. So very cool. Desert Treasure 2 boss achievements got changed. So Perfect Leviathan. I do not understand this. Why did they change this? This is my elitist coming out. My elitism. Perfect Leviathan now only requires you to complete 5 perfect kills without leaving the instance rather than 5 consecutive perfect kills. Like, what was that actually like that? Like, okay, I mean, it just doesn't, I don't care that much, but like GM, like we're looking for Grandmaster and you can't do 5 perfect kills in a row. Like what? Whisper and Duke, Speed Chaser and Speed Runner times have been made 5 seconds more lenient, which is nice. I actually think that's totally fine. Leviathan's lightning attack, yeah, no, just got changed back to what it was. So very cool. Bounty Hunter, I'm completely out of the loop with. So it looks like they've just improved the emblems from bounty crates, which is nice. And yeah, a little bit of Scurrius. Oh, by the way, I'm really excited to grind out Scurrius at some point because they do have mediums. If you have the, what is it, medium combat achievement diary done, you get mediums at like 1 in 23 there, which would be so cool to grind. So I'm really excited about that. Just, you know, spending a few minutes there, getting them like a medium clue, doing the medium clue. Like, that sounds fun. It's not meta breaking at all, by the way. You get so many more from Piro. But it's just nice having a piece of content that you are trying to grind for a pet and you're getting a bunch of mediums. So very, very cool, Jagex. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing if they are going to change the rogues chest. That's the biggest thing I'm excited about. Oh, by the way, I wanted to bring up one more thing about Muddy Keys. I think I just completely skipped over it. But Muddy Keys have been given a rare chance at a Laren's Key. And by the way, for those that don't know, if you're like a hardcore Iron Man and you're looking for Dagon High, you can literally cannon or just kill Chaos Dwarves in Taverley Dungeon and get Muddy Keys at a 1 in 18 drop. Now, I have no idea what the Laren's Key drop chance is of looting the Muddy Keys, but let's just say it's 1 in 100. Let's say every Muddy Keys is a 1 in 100. Well, that would actually be very extreme. So, I mean, but you know, if you don't want to do Wildy Slayer, but you want to get full Dagon High, well, I'm just going to throw out a number. If the Laren's Keys are 1 in 100, hopefully they're more common than that, but if they are 1 in 100, then it would take you 1,800 Chaos Dwarves to get a Laren's Key, and that's completely safe. Well, not completely safe, technically, but you're not in the wilderness. You don't have to worry about PKers, so you would kill those Chaos Dwarves in Taverley Dungeon. Who knows? Maybe they're like 1 in 50, though, so then it would make it so you only have to kill like 900-ish Chaos Dwarves for a Laren's Key. Anyway, kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting that you can actually get Laren's Keys that way, but yeah, if you guys have any idea what the rate is of Laren's Keys from the Muddy Chest, I'd love to know. And yeah, all right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Well, I was gonna say it's just a short one today. I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. Jesus Christ, I need help. But yeah, if you guys want to listen to these on Spotify, by the way, down in the description, go click on that link. Drop it a rating if you would like as well. That helps me out. And be sure to subscribe. More videos on the way, boys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.